Okay, so welcome back to some more MX versus ATV All Out. Today I kind of want to talk about what kind of content as far as DLC I would like to see in the future in this game. So we know there's going to be some new DLC dropping in the very near future. They haven't said like a specific release date, but they kind of have hinted that it will be pretty soon here. And I believe they have said that it won't be, or it'll be the first DLC that's not, quote, vehicle related. So no like bikes or quads or UTVs or monster trucks. If you had your hopes up for that one, you will probably have to wait. Not to say that that won't be later in the future, but not in this next drop. Also, before we even get into it, the first thing and a very high priority of what I would like to see added into the game is better performance for the consoles. For all the people that are saying stop giving us DLC until the game's running like really smooth and really solid on console, I'm not really arguing with you. I'm more agreeing with you. The problem is I'm playing on PC, and for me on PC it runs pretty smooth, and for the most part I'm pretty happy with it. But yes, as far as being on console, I do realize I have it on PlayStation. I do realize there's multiplayer issues still. There is just overall performance. Like during races, the Nationals still kind of lags, Supercross still kind of lags with the AI. Like there's issues, and I get that. That should be like, I guess, the number one priority, and I know it is a high priority. They're working to get patches out. It's not, of course, you always want it to go faster, but you know, I fully do believe they are doing the best they can, and I still believe they can get it to run better. I don't know if it'll ever be perfect, but I do believe it can run better. So yes, at the top of my list as far as for console people, getting the game to run solid and just run better would be a number one priority above DLC. Looking at that put to the side though, for me at least on PC, content that I would like to see added into the game. Before we even get into it, can we acknowledge that rut is insane? That rut is huge. Now I do believe that in one of these patches, I think they changed the track, the way the track will deteriorate and kind of go away from you. So I'm not 100% sure how what they changed, but to me, before it would kind of rut up, but the ruts were really, what's the word I'm looking for? Were mild. They weren't deep, and you could see them. You could see that it was happening, but it didn't really feel like it was affecting you too much. And more of it was happening towards the outside of the corners. Now it looks like the AI, at least, is, because they have a program like that, the AI is kind of taking inside lines and forming a really big rut there, and it's not really pushing out either. It's just kind of getting deeper. I mean, it's pushing out, to me it seems like it's pushing out somewhat realistically, and it's just getting deeper. This line is huge. It's insane. That's awesome. That terrain deformation looks fantastic, so I just kind of wanted to point that out. But first thing, number one, top of my list priority that I want to see added into the game is tracks, both Nationals and Supercross tracks. So the Supercross tracks, I feel like, I feel like they were done really well. I'm happy. Yeah, I know I did the top three worst tracks that I thought were in the game, but that doesn't mean that I'm not really mostly happy with all the Supercross tracks. I think they were designed fairly well. I feel like some of the triples were kind of small, but for the most part, I think they did a really good job, and I think that's what a majority of people want to play in the game is the Supercross tracks. So I want to see more Supercross tracks, but I really want to see more National tracks. We as a community, we have kind of agreed upon the fact that the National tracks were kind of lackluster. They weren't what we wanted them to be. I really only have 2 National tracks that I enjoyed, and everything else was just kind of meh. I didn't even really want to play on them. Like all the ones from, what Freeride world is it? I don't remember, but all the ones from like one specific Freeride world, I think it's Dove Point, whatever 3 or 4 tracks that are the same as Dove Point, I don't really care for those. I really don't like those. And the ones with the sand, more of the white sand in the ocean, those ones, I don't hate those tracks, but for me, I guess it's the fact that the environment looks kind of cool, but the track layout, just, I don't know, lackluster is the best word I have for that. And so I really want to see some really good even if they're fantasy and made up and they're not realistic, I want to see some really cool national tracks. I know some people keep saying, James Stewart compound, James Stewart compound. I don't want the James Stewart compound, okay? We've had the James Stewart compound in like a bunch of different versions of the game. I don't want the James Stewart compound. I'd rather have like the Goat Farm, Ricky Carmichael's Goat Farm, or what's Blake Baggett's place? It's like someone tell me right now, someone's got it. I'd rather see something like that. Let's get a different compound, okay? Something other than James Stewart, okay? I'm sick of the James Stewart compound. But to see a new compound brought into the game, if they can't do, and of course I would love to see national replica tracks. Of course, everybody wants that. Like, everybody wants that. But I don't feel like we're getting it. I've heard that there was possibilities of arena cross replicas. I think they said something on their Twitter. They didn't say they were gonna do it, but they were like, who would be excited if we did? That'd be cool, but I just feel like that would feel weird with the way the game works, you know? I feel like those tracks would be way too small, or they'd have to way overscale them with how floaty the game is, and I just feel like it just wouldn't feel right to me. So I don't necessarily want to see the arena cross tracks. If they do it, hey, I'm not going to complain, but that's just not top of the list. So it'd be like national tracks and supercross tracks. That's like pretty much top of my list. Now, another thing that came to mind, and I was talking with C4 Detonator the other day. Yes, you guys know C4 Detonator, the custom track maker. He and I were thinking that it would be cool because the game is pretty arcadey. I mean, I like having the more realistic fantasy supercross tracks and nationals, and if they ever bring us replicas, that'd be great. But it would be really cool to see like a Freeride world, an open Freeride area where it was not based off of realism, make it more crazy. I believe he said something like, what if you were jumping over a volcano or something? Yeah, that might not be for everybody, but who knows, you know, depending on the people that are buying the game and really enjoying it, maybe they'd like to see it. I know a lot of people like freestyle, and maybe some freestyle maps, some crazy freestyle maps. Add some crazy freestyle maps where you're jumping over a volcano like C4 Detonator was saying, or, you know, something like that. Just a crazy, out of left field kind of idea, I think would be cool. But, I mean, I'd still like to see hill climb events, or at least a map like that, and, you know. So, just tracks or Freeride maps or stuff like that is like the number one thing that I would like to see in the game, and what I get more enjoyment out of when I play motocross games. Because after a while you get tired of doing the same tracks. You do eventually. And so that's number one for me. Number two for me would be to see, like everybody else wants, the monster trucks, the helicopters, the airplanes, and stuff like that. While back in the day I didn't use them too much, it would be cool to see them add some of it. I mean, I don't think they'll be able to add everything, but if they could add just monster trucks, or heck, just the 50, just the pit bike, bring the pit bike back. It's so weird that they got rid of that, man. I remember back in Encore, every time I'd stream, use the 50 and the 500. Like, that was the thing everybody wanted to see, was the 50. So it's just like, you gotta bring it back. You gotta bring the 50 back. People want the 50. People want the 50 and the monster truck. So I guess if you're gonna bring any vehicles or any whatever back, those are like, I think, two of the ones, not counting like helicopters or airplanes, those are two that people, I think, really, really want to see brought back into the game, myself included. That's mainly what I would like to see added. Those are like my top two. And you could kind of narrow it down as far as like, okay, supercross tracks, national tracks, and freeride / freestyle stuff. Now, another thing that would be kind of neat to see, but it's not necessary because I guess I really don't care that much, is I would like to see, and maybe not now because this game's still relatively new and I haven't used like every possible gear combination. Like, I remember playing Encore. Every time I'd play, I don't like using the same gear. I just don't. But there's some combinations of gear that I just can't stand. I will never do it because I just don't like it. And it's weird because if I'm using, I don't, there's like, I'm weird on how I like to mix my gear up. There's some combinations that I just can't do. Not because of the color scheme, but because of the company. It's weird. I basically like to use Alpine Star boots for everything, and it feels weird to use something else. Anyways, what I would like to see later on, maybe after we've pretty much done every gear combination possible, it would be really cool to see new gear added into the game. Now, I do believe they did on their Instagram, they had like a new Fast House helmet, like a yellow Fast House helmet, I think. So maybe that's a possibility too. I would like to see gear brought in, because with Encore, it never happened. There was no new gear. Okay, not counting the 4th of July special, which people still ask me to this day on that video, how'd you get that? It was a limited time offer, man. Limited time offer, but yeah, I'd like to see new gear added into the game as well. And I don't know, I had like one more thing, but I never write these things down. I just kind of have an idea of what I want to say and then go with it. But that's mainly it. Mainly tracks, or not tracks, tracks and environments. Just tracks, freeride areas, stuff like that. Do something crazy with the freeride world. Doesn't have to be realistic. Try and do something different. Maybe people will like it, maybe they won't. I don't know. And what else? The monster trucks and the pit bikes and gear. That's like kind of the main things. I'm probably missing something really important that I forgot to talk about, but you get my general where I'm heading with it. So I'm really curious to see what you guys would like to see. And I already mentioned that top of the list is getting the game to perform better on consoles. So if you missed that at the beginning and you're still here, don't forget, I did mention that. So that is on the top of my list as well. But I'm curious what your list is. If you could choose 2 things or 3 things, because I think I had 3 things. If you could choose 3 things and you had to have them, what would be your top 3 must-have for sure, needs to be in the game no matter what? It would 100% make the game better. Aside from, even if you're on console and not happy with performance, not counting that, what would you like to see brought into the game? Just curious if any of yours match up with mine, or if they're totally different, or whatever. But you guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. And until the next video, take it easy.